Hello and welcome to Storyboard. I'm Shibani Gharat. Last week, we unveiled our new refreshed identity, and to celebrate this new journey, we kicked off a new series called Built to Last, hosted by Mastercard's global CMO Raja Rajamannar. We had Meesho's founder Vidit Atre in our first episode. In today's show, joining Raja, we have Unacademy's co-founder Roman Saini and Karan Shroff, who's partner and CMO at Unacademy. Let's hear the excerpts from the conversation.
Hi, Roman and Karan. Absolute pleasure meeting you both and welcoming you to this series. Here is a company started as a complete startup in a new field, which means you're also in the business of creating a new market, not just capturing an existing market. And your scaling, like I have mentioned, is huge, 10 times in the last 18 months. So, Roman, if I were to ask you the first question, which is, when you look at the scaling of a company, the scaling of a company is not exactly the same as building of a brand. Now, what I want to ask you is, Roman, firstly, how are you looking at your brand building, even as you are scaling like there is no tomorrow?
Yeah, thanks, Raja. Like when it comes to Unacademy's brand, like we have been very, very conscious about it. What we want this Unacademy brand to represent. Basically, from day one, we wanted it to become like a global brand. It was never about getting restricted to India or a particular geography or a particular demography. From day one, it was about creating a best platform where we help anyone to crack any goal-based learning. So initially we started out with some test prep examination. Then we are right now in 50 plus test prep. Then we basically moved to K-12 now for jobs. So basically, like if you go by our tagline, which is let's crack it. So it fundamentally, we believe that anyone can crack any goal using Unacademy as a platform. Now goal can be either you are like trying to get into a college, or you're trying to get a better job, or you're trying to get better marks. It can be basically any goal. So Unacademy's brand is always about creating the best possible platform, creating the best possible experience for the learner as well as the educator. We obsess over it, what it represents, like qualities like perseverance, discipline, which will actually help you not only to just crack your exam or your goal, but it also helps you in life.
When you are looking and competing for resources, obviously because Roman and the other co-founders do not have unlimited funds, they always have to prioritize where they're going to deploy their capital. How are you convincing them to say, yeah, I need so many million more dollars for a sponsorship of IPL, or I want so much more for my advertising campaign, etc.? What typical pulls and pushes you have? I'll not believe if you tell me that it is a tension-free, stress-free cakewalk, that money is flowing your way just because you're creating great campaigns. Wish life for a bed of roses, but certainly it is not so for marketers.
I'm honestly going to say it's not too difficult. Precisely what you're saying, it's actually not difficult. So I think the founders are believers of marketing. I'll tell you one thing that gets us over the line always, Raja, is that the marketing vision and the business vision remains constant. So we are always hand in hand. We are always working towards the same goal of democratizing learning across the country, making quality education accessible to all. And any campaign that we do, any marketing exercise that we go through with, or any dollar that we spend, as long as it's aligned with this vision, there isn't much of a back and forth and a pull. But if you're just doing something, for the sake of it, or it doesn't have the purpose or the meaning or the heart behind it, we ourselves don't push it through or kind of go through it, as a marketing unit.
Now, you have stated your vision. Many companies again start off, and I repeatedly are mentioning it, and that delights me. When you're talking about you want to be an iconic brand into the future, and you want to be, and I saw some of the descriptions that were given. You want to be the Netflix of education. You want to be the Tencent of India. You're really thinking very, very, very big. Can you just elaborate on your vision a little bit? And then, Karan, I would like to come to you and ask you after that, how are you bringing that vision to life? Because I do believe that marketing is the one which, in collaboration and coordination with everyone else, will bring that vision totally to life. So, Roman, if you can start.
Sure. So I was having a discussion with Gaurav, like our co-founder and CEO. And when we discuss what we want this to become, like it was always about democratizing education. That's how we started. Democratizing in both the sense of the word, whether like the 90% of the learners can't access the education, and most of the like smart people like you, me, others, they are not teaching online. Like smart people like Karan, they are not teaching online. So enabling the next set of educators and making it as a viable career option, that is what encompasses democratizing education. That's how we started. So now I think there's still a long way to go, but we have achieved a fair share of success in democratizing education. So then like we changed our we changed the model 2 years ago in February 2019 to make it a subscription model. What you said, Netflix of education. Now in Netflix of education, every single possible goal, whether it's let's say playing chess or like preparing for K-12 or preparing for a specific test to get into a college or to get a job. So every single thing gets covered in there, and ultimately like to create the single largest consumer internet company out of India. I think an iconic company which people can look up to.
So, Karan, how are you bringing it to life?
I think, Raja, the lure for short-term goals and for quick gratification can be detrimental. I think it's a slow, ongoing process. And brand is all about compounding over time. So it's about being consistent. It's about delivering this, the business message or the communication time and again efficiently. So it's going to be an ongoing process. The way we always look at it is work done in the past is in the past. So we're always looking to what next. This vision of taking education to everybody, taking learning to everybody, bringing different kinds of categories onto the platform, like Roman said, experts from different domains teaching. It's all about communication and conveying that message at the end of it, and that needs to be consistent, irrespective of the pivots we make. So I think instead of looking at it from a larger, or saying that we're going to build a great wall, we're probably going to lay one brick at a time. But lay it as perfectly as we can and see where it takes us.
Absolute pleasure and delight chatting with both of you. Thank you very much, Roman and Karan.
Thank you, Raja. It was amazing to talk to you as well.
Those were indeed some wonderful insights. While this was a short excerpt, you can watch the full in-depth conversation on Money Control and CNBC-TV18.com. It is now time for us to take a short break. On the other side, we are catching up with Hareesh Tibrewala, Joint CEO MIRUM India, along with CVL Srinivas, Country Manager WPP, and Neil Stewart, Global CEO Wunderman Thompson Commerce, on how our brands and advertisers using MarTech. MarTech in India has been witnessing significant growth following the rapid expansion of digital economy, and it has only accelerated by the shift in consumer behavior due to the pandemic. On the sidelines of the MIRUM India MarTech Report 2021, I'm catching up with Hareesh Tibrewala, Joint CEO MIRUM India, along with CVL Srinivas, Country Manager WPP, and Neil Stewart, Global CEO Wunderman Thompson Commerce, on how our brands and advertisers using MarTech. Listen in.
Hareesh, Neil, and Srini, welcome to Storyboard.
Thank you. Great to be here.
Thank you for inviting us.
So Hareesh, let's begin this conversation with you. You guys had released a report on MarTech. Can you share with us the purpose of conducting this study? And I believe you have spoken to around 279 CXOs from different sectors. So what were the key findings?
Our findings were really interesting, Shibani. Like Vladimir Lenin once said, that nothing can happen for decades, and then decades can happen in weeks. And we exactly saw the pandemic acting like an accelerant when it comes to MarTech investment. While in the first report, we were still trying to understand, do people use MarTech? In the second report, which has come just after 18 months, we're already seeing the emergence of a category of people called MarTech heroes, who have been investing very strongly in MarTech, who are seeing ROI in MarTech, and continue to have a lot of faith. So the pandemic has really acted like an accelerant across all industries for MarTech investments. Whether you are a big business or a small business, whether it's B2C or whether you are B2B, whether you are BFSI sector or auto sector, nobody is questioning anymore the importance of technology or MarTech in terms of being able to reach out to customers. However, we saw the emergence of one category of people, a new breed of organizations who have made a lot of investments, who have stitched the entire piece of the puzzle together. They are seeing ROI and have demonstrated huge faith in MarTech and intend to continue making those investments. That is what we are classifying as MarTech heroes. typically from the time an industry starts to the time you actually find heroes, it could easily be 3 to 4 years. Here we have seen the transition happen in 18 months time.
Srini, my next question is to you. So much has changed over the past couple of months. So still continue to be the MarTech stagnants. What will it, take for them to adopt MarTech in their strategy, and where lies the reservation?
For the so-called stagnants to get up there, I think firstly it's while you've made the investment, what are you doing to ensure continuous adoption? And if you actually look at it, it's going back to the basics. Have you set the right objectives? Are you measuring impact? And are you feeding that back in? Do you have the right people skills? Are you working with the right kind of partners? So I think those are some of the factors which one needs to kind of look into and invest time in, in addition to the investments made in MarTech itself, to ensure that you move, from the stagnant category to the hero category.
Okay. Also share with us, how are your clients adopting MarTech, and what is the sizable and significant change that you have seen, after the pandemic hit us as compared to the pre-pandemic?
Well, according to me, the big shift really that has happened is the kind of categories that are now coming into MarTech in these kind of discussions versus earlier. I think pre-pandemic, it was the usual suspects, BFSI, auto, retail kind of categories, which are quite heavy in their investments in MarTech, and they were kind of ahead of the curve. But if you ask me, the big trend I think we're seeing in India in the last 1.5 years is the CPG category getting into MarTech and having discussions around what we just spoke about. So I think that's one big shift. The other, of course, is those who already made investments are obviously trying to see how do you get better ROI out of it? How do you increase the number of use cases? How do you go beyond just, let's say, using MarTech for personalization and go beyond that, let's say into building tools for constant, let's say, optimization, building tools for sales and support services, so on and so forth. So those who got in earlier, I think, are just moving up a couple of notches. And then there's, CPG kind of clients who are kind of getting into it in a big way.
Okay. Over to you, Neil. What are, globally, what are the best digital commerce strategies that are driving change for businesses today? Because digital commerce really picked up in India over the past 2-3 years. So what are these global strategies, and how can India apply these?
Well, there's a couple of trends that have happened globally, and to kind of feed off what Srini's mentioned there, specifically in the FMCG category. There's been an explosion of channels to the consumer digitally. So obviously we've got marketplaces, the likes of Flipkart and Amazon, etc. The e-retailers investing in how they engage with consumers, and then organizations looking at how they get a direct relationship via a D2C type engagement. So, I mean, we think the successful businesses over the last 2 years have been those that have got a real clear balanced channel strategy across each of those channels. So, what do they sell on marketplaces for reach and sales growth? What do they sell via e-retail partners to maintain existing revenue streams? And how do they take advantage of that D2C engagement, both to deliver a great experience around the brand and build brand, but also gain data and give them insights that allows them to kind of develop products and have a better relationship. I thought what was interesting in the report, it showed that the e-commerce platform, i.e. D2C, is coming up as one of the top 3 platforms where investment is likely to happen in the next 12 months. And D2C is a great place to deliver a great experience, build brands and gain data. So we think the successful businesses have a balanced channel strategy, but are focusing on a direct relationship with the consumer.
Okay. Also globally, the regulatory landscape when it comes to privacy is changing. How is it impacting brands and their communication?
Yeah, whether we like it or we don't like it, Shibani, the regulatory environment will continue to change. That's a fact. There's not a lot we can do about that. And you add in the complexities of geography and industry and cross-border sales, that makes it an issue that needs thinking long and hard about and investing in. Where possible, we think it's best that organizations get ahead of that complexity. While there's no global consistency on the regulation, we do see that GDPR is acting as kind of a basis of that regulation globally, whether that be the new China regulation or South Africa regulation that's come out. And the good thing is we can help our clients, think about what's coming down the line, specifically in India with the regulations coming out there, to make sure they're set to be able to use data in the right way, that's compliance that drives the personalized experiences that we need.
Okay. Srini, my next question is to you. So this time of the year is, coming after the second wave. It is a high clutter, extended cricketing season, marrying the festive season. Can you share with us how can, MarTech generate better ROI for brands, especially during this high clutter time?
And MarTech can also be creatively deployed to build feedback loops to ensure with all the reporting, dashboarding kind of stuff that's available to give managers better control of their investments. Beyond all of this, of course, there are areas like CRM and all of that where certain categories could really leverage MarTech to ensure that they're getting more bang for their buck on the overall marketing investment. So yeah, I mean, one is of course the fact that a lot of investment is shifting towards digital channels and so on, and therefore the role of MarTech. But even otherwise, I think with the kind of clutter, like you said, building up in media, using tools like this imaginatively, just give you better ROI at the end of the day.
All right. Thank you so much. Thanks for joining us today. Thank you, Neil. Thank you, Hareesh. Thank you, CVL.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
It is time for us to slip into a short break. On the other side, Hyundai India's new campaign takes customer experiences beyond mobility. We are catching up with Tarun Garg, Director Sales, Marketing and Service, Hyundai Motor India, to find out more. Welcome back. You're watching Storyboard. Hyundai Motor India has introduced its new brand campaign Beyond Mobility that encapsulates the company's commitment and aspirations for India of tomorrow. To tell us more about this new brand thought Beyond Mobility, we are catching up with Tarun Garg, Director Sales, Marketing and Service, Hyundai Motor India. He is also sharing with us how future initiatives will be aligned with this brand thought and what was the kind of traction around the festive season. Tarun, welcome to Storyboard.
Thank you, Shibani.
Tarun, your new brand thought Beyond Mobility, what does it stand for and how does it reflect what your consumer is really looking for?
So Shibani, Beyond Mobility is a brand thought, I think, that revolves around three tenets. Technology, which is intelligent, innovation, that ushers in an area of choices for our consumers, and of course, sustainability for the betterment of society and planet as a whole. I think Beyond Mobility is in line with our global vision of progress for humanity, where we feel that time is, I believe, the most precious element for humanity. At Hyundai, we're a brand that is committed to provide some quality time to consumers, not only through our products, but through our services as well. And we believe that these young trending millennials, of course, who are our consumers of today, much more importantly, probably they will be the biggest consumers of tomorrow. They are looking for brands that are not only providing them convenience, but also personalized solutions, as well as brands that take care of society and planet. I think that would become a very, very key part of the strategy going forward.
Having said that, Tarun, also share with us how will your future initiatives will be aligned with this brand thought?
The brand going forward in the coming decade will be working towards creating that sustainable, environment through our efforts with product technology, network initiatives, the way we live as a brand. I believe that is extremely important.
Tarun, we have seen so many other car makers build their EV portfolio. Does Hyundai plan to expand its own?
Absolutely. I mean, look, 2019, when EV was only being talked about in India, we were the first OEM to launch the first fully electric SUV in Kona. We received some great response. We have already announced that we are working on a mass market EV, which should be in India probably in less than 3 years of time. We believe that to create a mass market EV, we need to really work on that ecosystem. And when I say ecosystem, it takes care of both the supply chain part of it, as well as the charging infrastructure part of it. So we believe that we will need this much of time to really create that ecosystem.
Tarun, share with us what was the kind of action by Hyundai around this entire festive season and which products are generally seeing a lot of traction?
So this is important, and I would like to say that, if you see Hyundai I think we are kind of transitioning from tactical to brand. Of course, that is where this beyond mobility concept comes in. You would have seen our efforts, on some premium TV programs, whether it is Kaun Banega Crorepati. You asked about products. The good thing is, because in the last 2.5 years, we have refreshed our entire product, portfolio. We launched the new Creta, we launched the new Verna, the new Tucson, we launched the new i20. Recently, we launched the N-Line, we launched the Alcazar, we launched the Aura. So you would have seen that across segments, we have been launching some new products and some great traction is coming. When I say that, I would like to share that if we compare inquiries, say, vis-a-vis last year, we are, in the Navratras period, we are seeing a traction of plus 15%. You may say that, okay, 2020, not a good benchmark. When I compare it with even 2019, inquiries are up 17%. Unfortunately, but because of this whole semiconductor issues, I believe that retails, it's more of a supply-driven thing. So where, of course, we are making all efforts to improve the situation, but definitely the demand traction, we are sitting on a pipeline of close to 100,000 customer bookings. So demand traction is extremely strong, and we are very confident that customers are really looking at Hyundai, in a new light. We have seen that after we got the SUV leadership, this new age millennial customers, these premium end of the customers, they are really coming to us.
Tarun, thank you so much. Thanks for joining us today.
Thank you, Shibani. Always a pleasure to talk to you. Thank you very much, and all the very best.
With that, it's a wrap on Storyboard this week. You can catch all of our content on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. Thanks for watching. We will be back same time next week. See you soon.